And welcome back to another episode of the MDCP podcast. And yes, I had to think about that. But here we are, joined by every time, Sam, I feel pressure now with you and Tony. I'm like, don't get it wrong. Joined by
happen,
Sam and Ash.
And that's okay.
Look, it will happen. Luckily, I'm in charge of the editing, so that's cool. Nothing bad can ever happen to me. Anyway, you guys, you're on your own, but hey.
Absolutely.
So, loving these podcasts each week, and this week I think we're going to get into something that's going to give our audience, who we've been getting great feedback on the show. So if you do like the show, please subscribe, give us a review, share it with a coach who thinks you might need it. But something I thought would be interesting to talk through today is, as a coach, and we've seen this happen with some high-profile coaches from time to time, when it becomes more about them than what they're coaching, or, the reason, the why, I guess. It becomes more about them becoming a personality. They become bigger than the desire to serve, I guess. And that can be a tricky place to be. And, coaches can get tripped up with that. And I thought this would be a good one for you guys, particularly, to, not that you're bigger than us on this show, but that was awkward for a minute there. But something that we can talk through is how to avoid those pitfalls. And, it applies for us. I mean, if we're going to be completely transparent here, MDCP program is not about us three amazing human beings. It's about
humble.
The value.
Amazing and humble.
Very, very modest. But it's about we create these episodes to give people things to think about and to think about their potential as a coach, so that's not just limited. But we don't want it to be about us. So and just talking in theoretical. So let's get into some tin tacks today.
Yeah, and with that said, Lisa, if anybody watching this has a topic they would like to hear discussed, or has a question they want to hear us broach, throw it in the comments, please, because that's the whole point of this, is for us to have conversation, and maybe somewhere along the lines you get an aha moment that could help you out.
Yep. Great idea.
Well said.
All right. So who wants to take the ball and take it downfield on this one? See, it's like I know about American football, but I'm just...
Talk about rugby and you'll get close enough.
Yeah.
Ash, you want to take a swing? Because I have a story about how bad a coach I am, and that'll be a great way to kick it off.
If you have a story off the top of your head, go for it. I
do.
I'll just ramble, so go.
Well, there's nothing that says I'm not going to just ramble. So when I so talking about making it about us, right? And I remember vividly, and I've talked about this experience before, was coming back from my Bergner weightlifting seminar, and my brain is full of all of the amazing, and anyone who's taken a Bergner, you spend the first 7 hours of the 8-hour day on Saturday doing nothing but holding a PVC pipe. And so by the time you actually pick up, a 15-pound barbell, it's the heaviest thing in the world. And you leave that seminar and you've had the snatch and the clean and jerk dissected to such a point that it's like you get it. You finally understand that thing that happens when you black out somewhere between triple extension and then bar overhead in the snatch. And you come back and you're like, I'm gonna make everybody Olympic weightlifters. They're all gonna get gold medals. And my boss, Spencer Hendel, who was younger than me, but way smarter when it comes to this stuff, said, stop. Don't do that. They don't care, right? And I dodged a bullet that time. I did not dodge bullets other times. The bullet I dodged was, he's like, don't worry about the snatch, just keep it to jump and land. Jump and punch. Keep it simple, because you're going to get 90% of the people 90% of the way to what you need them to do with those two cues. I have made the mistake of learning something and really digging in and understanding something, and then making the application or instruction of that knowledge about how good a coach I am. And no one is served by that. And it's, and if you want to, if you haven't experienced this little gold nugget, when someone who is your boss and dear friend comes to you and says, yeah, we can kind of tell when you coach that you're making it about you. Like, that's a kick to the nether regions. And it doesn't feel good. But she wasn't wrong. Like, and I had to step back, and it's taken years now for me to get to the point where I understand that, yes, I believe CrossFit in its purest application is maybe the best thing to ever happen to fitness. But very few people want that, even if they should. And even if, given time and opportunity, I could convince them, the attempt of me to convince them would probably turn them off to me. And if, in attempting to convince them, because I'm right, I know, I have the secret sauce. I can do this, If I try to make it about me and they don't want to work with me because I'm making it about me, I lose the opportunity to actually help, which I don't know why anyone else is doing this, but I promised myself when I got into coaching that I was going to do it so that I could live a life of service. And every time I do something for myself, I step away from that.
And that is a powerful lesson. I remember when I was taking people through my internal coach development program, it was one of the first things I said to them: coaching is about service. And if I am the best coach in this facility, then I am not doing my job properly.
Yeah.
Because I'm just keeping you to my limits when your limits are, different, or you have unlimited potential. Like, and there's that original thing that I don't know who said it first, but it was told to me many, many years ago, is that, again, if you're the head coach or the owner of a facility and you are the best athlete in that facility, asterisks, excluding Rich Froning, then you're not doing the right thing by your athletes, because you're just limiting to them to your potential, so that you're the best, which is driven by ego.
Yeah.
And the first rule of CrossFit is, what do? Leave your ego at the door. Because when we make it about us, we can lose those messages and that potential, like you said, Sam, that potential to save lives and change lives, which is what it's about, not about the third pull transition to the overhead position in the snatch. That's what does that allow us to do in life? If they get that, that's great, but it's not about that.
No.
And we did an episode not long ago talking about stop selling your watts. And so I guess this is a good follow-on from that, is like taking ourselves out of the equation. What are your thoughts, Ash?
Yeah, I was just going to add on to that. It's not to say that you may, in your class while teaching the snatch, have an athlete who is really hardcore into Olympic lifting and has been working their drop snatches and all those little skill drills and wants to hear what you have to say. But like, you can save that for when you go around and are individually giving feedback, right? Like, make the mass, your mass instruction for the masses, right? Make sure a 5-year-old could get it and a 55-year-old professional Olympic lifter who's been doing it since he was 5 can get that. And then weave those nuggets in between to serve the people.
Yeah. Yeah. I think of, there's a guy, shout out to Doug Perzo in in Medfield, Massachusetts. I will never forget the time we were doing a 3-position clean, right? And so I don't know how anyone else teaches the 3-position clean, but my 3-position clean is just off the ground, mid-shin, right? To the knee or just above the knee, and then to the high hang position, which is vertical torso, right? Upright, and essentially just a dip, right? And Doug was like, wait. What? What is this dip thing? And I'm like, okay, so this is really nuancy, but like, it's this, it's this last little bit, like I don't really have the time to go into it. And he's like, it's the last class of the evening. These people are all like-minded. He looks around. He's like, can we go into it really quick? And like the coach inside of my heart goes, he's so excited. It's like, yes, we can, those opportunities are few and far between. And it's probably a good thing that they're few and far between, because on the daily, jump harder, right? Do you bend your knees when you jump? Cool. Do that. Go. There, I just solved everybody's triple extension issues.
Yeah. And thank you for coming to Sam's TED Talk on Olympic lifting today. So you knew you'd get a chance to use it, Sam.
Every once in a while.
So,
wait a second. Question though.
See,
Sam, when Spencer came to you and said you're making it about you, did you go?
Actually, it wasn't Spencer, but
whoever came to you and said that, were you like, oh yeah, I am, or were you like, were you shocked? Were you like, oh shit, am I? And then had to reflect on that and see how?
I was wildly combative, like not outwardly. I was emotionally, internally combative. I was offended and I felt jilted, like they didn't appreciate how good they had it.
And I can so see that in you, Sam. I'm sorry, but I can.
But that's a human reaction, because you weren't trying to make it about you. That's the point I'm trying to make, right? Like you weren't going into that class going like, I'm going to show them what I know. You were going to that class thinking, I'm going to help them solve all their snatch problems, right?
I actually think you were right the first way around. I think I actually did go about it thinking, I'm going to show them how much I know. Oh, wow. And then the back half of that sentence was, and they'll be so fucking inspired that they just follow along like good little lemmings. And that's not inspiring.
And that is kind of the peril of the new coach. We've all been there. The first class we've coached out of our level 1, and it's you. I remember, I think when I did my first level 1, for the next 3 weeks, I proceeded to vomit squat technique over everybody, like my boot camp participants, when I was actually in the box, like all the things, like everyone, like when my Facebook memories come up, there's just these, and I was like, oh, you idiot. But it's just like, oh my God, I've just learned something amazing. And you're right. It's not intentionally doing it to make yourself the center, but it's also a way of validating. So if I'm a new coach and I've just learnt this skill, or I have athletes in the class who are better than me, it's like, well, I need them to know that I know more than them, or am deserving of this position. So it is the curse of the novice coach.
Yes. And but looking back, it was absolutely a self-validation, like seeking external validation technique for me.
But it is also the curse of the experienced coach, which is where it can lead into problems for imagine, Sam, now, you've been coaching for, many years now, not to age you or date you, but
it's okay. I'm almost 40. Let's just say it.
Hey, I'm 49 nearly. So,
I never would have guessed that. Really?
That's it. I hope that was a good compliment there.
That wasn't, it depends on which way you want me to be on that side of the equation.
Yeah,
but
I want you to be on the low side. That's great.
Yeah, I definitely was thinking lower than that.
I'm as immature as the next person. It's fine.
That
but
must be it.
that's why we all get along well. But if someone had given you that feedback now, so you've gone in to coach some classes and, we got the feedback on this project, but if someone gave you that feedback now, how do you think you would feel about it now if you're more mindful of not going down that path? But if someone still said that, yeah, it's really the Sam show.
I am a person who believes that I'm always in danger of falling backwards, right? To use a biblical phrase, backsliding, right? I am always in danger of that because I'm always in danger of letting my ego run the show. I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but I have a really loud ego, and I do my best work when I do whatever I can to cut my ego off at the knees, essentially full time. If somebody came back to me now, probably the way that I would go about it is, one, I would not assume negative intent. This person's not out to get me, right? And so I know more so now that things like this are an opportunity for me to get better. It's taken me years from that particular instance to now to grow enough to recognize it as an opportunity, even though I knew that like constructive criticism was opportunities that I didn't view as constructive criticism at the time. I viewed it as just criticism. And I wasn't mature enough personally or professionally to interpret it the correct way and process it. Now, it would still be a struggle. I would just struggle a little less and hopefully not let my ego run the show internally quite as long. I cannot imagine that. The exception would be, I like to believe the exception would be if I got accepted to seminar staff, because from what I've been told, you get on staff and you go do a gig and they come back and they give you feedback. And the only acceptable response early on is, thank you for the feedback. So, and the rest is just go be better. Yeah, exactly. But even then, like especially when I try really hard, I'm very invested. And so I find it hard to believe that part of me wouldn't take it personally. The only question would be, how long, that's an egotistical thought for me to have, how long do I let that run the show? And the quicker I can move past it and be like, this person didn't call you a fucking idiot. They said you could, use more visual or verbal cues when you taught the push press. They're not trying to break me down. They're actually trying to help me be better, And the sooner I can remember that and get back to that and like actually do the thing they're telling me to do, the better my life is going to be, the better the clients' lives are going to be. Everybody wins. But all of that starts with me being like, it's not about me.
Yep. So let's take this from a
Sam therapy session.
Sam's on the mat today. It's like Ash and I had a meeting before and we thought today, Sam's day. No.
Hey man, cool.
We do love you, Sam. But if someone's listening to this and some of this stuff like resonates and they think, maybe do I think I'm coaching from a position of service, or is it all about me? How do we start to identify that? And then if we do, because awareness is the first step to solving any problem, awareness that there is a problem, and then being prepared to own it is like, you've done some reflection, you've rewatched your coaching, you've even reflected on, how do I feel going into a class and what are my thought processes as I'm preparing for a class? And you're aware that sometimes that you do make it, that it's not about the end result for the people or the whys. It's about you and the whats.
Mhm.
How do I take steps to reconcile that and then adjust that?
Ash?
Ash? You've got the ball now. It's hot potato.
As the therapist. Well, I think just going back to Sam's example, the first question to ask yourself is, do they need this and will they benefit from this? And if the answer is no to either of those things, then you have your your answer right there on how to shift your perspective. Then give them something they need, give them something they will all benefit from.
In a way that's not centered around you.
Right.
You took the words out of my mouth.
Great minds, my friend. Great minds.
Well, and the only thing is like, do they need this or do I think they need this? And there's sometimes those things are aligned and sometimes they are not.
No, that's a really good point. We kind of touched on that earlier on a call of, sometimes we can all see and know what people need, but if they don't want it, it's a moot point. It's like, Sam, you can speak to this better than I could, but somebody who has an addiction, are they we can see it and tell them what they need till we're blue in the face and that they have a problem. But until they acknowledge they have a problem and want to do something about it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's extreme for a CrossFit class to an addiction, but it's kind of like, if you want to try and simplify it as much as you can, like, do they need this or do you want them to need this? Do they, right? Like, so
what a way to put that too, because that's really what it is. It's like, I want you to need this so that I can solve your problem. And so that I can put myself on a podium or at the top of this heap, and I can, I want you to need what I have. That's like abusive relationship 101, codependency. Like,
right.
I want you to need what I provide, and I'm going to, if you're a really self-destructive coach, you're going to seek out positions where that is the case. You're going to seek out relationships in the gym or interrelationships with your clients where that is the case. Whereas service is assessing, absent of ego, what is needed. And and like, even, and I hate doing this because I'll be 100% plain about this. I don't think you should hire a coach if you're going to tell that coach what you want. Right? In the sense that you don't go to the dentist and say, hey, doc, here's what I want you to do. You say, please help me. And they do that thing, right? And they tell you what's going on. And so I'm not a big fan of asking clients, like in a group class, what they want. I believe it is my job as a coach to observe and to understand and to comprehend the athletes, every one of them individually and then collectively, such that I can provide something that they need. And they might not know that they need it, but I can see them struggling with something, right? And I can provide a piece of education, hopefully, that is entertaining and inspiring, and that gets them to a place of greater capacity or greater flexibility or greater strength, whatever it ends up being, rather than what it comes down to for me is wanting the recognition that I'm the smart one in the room. Yeah.
And we talk about in the six-figure coach seminar and a 3-hour, $1 million coach online program, we talk about, creating your personal brand and positioning. And sometimes what can happen is, for example, Coach Sam, let's run with our theme, becomes, seminar staff member or, something. And then you go, suddenly it becomes not about this is a XYZ seminar, this is Sam's seminar. And then people start to see it as Sam's seminar. So it takes away from the messages completely that you're trying to give through that product or that what.
Yeah.
And it's just become about, well, I'm just going to learn from Sam. And at that point, you could tell them anything and they're happy with that because they've come to learn from you. But that causes us, and we know that we would learn a lot from you, Sam, but it does cause us to then miss critical opportunities by putting ourselves above or making it about us, what they ultimately can get out of that. So, for example, if someone went to a gymnastics seminar, like you guys have both attended that as well, that it's not really about how you hold the bar and your shapes and your positions. That's just a tool that they use to talk about, things in life and, how you can impact your life. The same as, the Bergener weightlifting. It's very much about, lessons in discipline and structure and following a process rather than it's about the clean and jerk and the snatch. It's what you learn along the way. But if it were to become Sam's course, all those, golden nuggets are lost and it just becomes limited by you and your ego and what you're prepared to part with. Because if it becomes your course, then we're not going to give away everything because we don't want to give away all the secrets.
Yeah.
We don't want to then go, well, someone else might learn this and do this better now. So I'll just hold back a bit because I'm the expert here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a healthy way for you as a coach to let you be your best self as a coach. It's not what we aspire to see coaches through our work with MDCP. Like I said, it's not about us and what we bring to the table, but it's what you can think about and the tools and tips and strategies to help you want to go out and be your best coach and go, yeah, I can make a full-time living out of this, but how do I need to do that?
Mm-hmm.
And what do I need to, and this is a pitfalls discussion, like, on other calls we've talked about ways that you would generate revenue, but this is like, here's a pothole that's in the middle of the road. Like you can easily get some momentum and fall down in that and not know how to get out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And sometimes these courses, I don't know if I might be going off track here, but like you talked about this, like specialty courses, and sometimes these courses, we learn from them and there's something very specific that we take to because we hadn't thought about it that way or whatever the case may be. And so that's the thing we kind of cling to and then try to transfer to others. But somebody that we're trying to transfer it to might not be understanding them, so it's not serving them. And where I'm going with that is like, so I remember so clearly at the Bergener course for me, everybody was setting up their bars and we just did the setup. And, for a lot of people, it was pull the bar closer, pull the bar closer. With me, he was like, Ashley, I want you to push the bar about 3 inches away from your shins. What? Right? But like, so are we doing two different things? Yes, but no, we're not. That's what I needed. That's not what everyone else needed. So the point of that is, if you get so blinded by what you know and thinking it is the right way only and the wrong way only, then you may be missing opportunities to help somebody.
No, and that's definitely not off track at all, Ash. That's a great example about, if it just becomes about what you know and what you think is the right way, then you will miss those opportunities and your lifting position would have been made a whole lot worse had they just stuck to okay, here's the formula today. It's like 9 out of 10 people need to pull the bar closer, so everyone's going to do that. Well, suddenly you're lifting, you come away from that course as like, all I did was a heap of burpees that weekend and didn't get much else out of it.
Basically, I learned how to sit back better and use my legs more, which was if anybody's going, I wonder why they like, that was my problem, is I was too high and over the bar. But like, just saying that most of us keep the bar close because we want to keep the bar close the whole time in the Olympic lift. But if somebody's struggling with their lift off and they're too far over the bar, and you saying like sit back in your heels more isn't working, or reach your butt to the back wall isn't working, and all these things, maybe pushing the bar away from that person, though it seems counterintuitive, is what's going to help. Now, again, we were discussing earlier Sam's example of helping an entire class. Would you want to tell a whole class to do that? No, probably not. But the point of this is, don't be closed-minded because of what you know. Because if you are, you can't serve.
Oh, and this example is actually ideal if we want to talk about providing value to anyone who might be listening. What you experienced is what a high-level coach should be doing. You have your cues that are going to work for 90% of the class, right? And then I have Ash. Ash's hips are too high. She's too far over the bar. Okay, well, there's a lot of ways I can solve that problem. Ash, drop your hips, right? If that's not working for her, then I can try something like, Ash, I want you to hold the bar a little bit further away from yourself. You're going to have to do some kind of cantilever action in order to get the body to accommodate that movement. Is it a bad cue if it solves the problem? The answer is no. If you've taken your level 2, and maybe even, I think it's in level 1, I'm not even sure, is the best cue is the one that works.
Yeah.
Right? Exactly. Now, here's the issue with that. And here's where we start talking about the application of high-level coaching is you've got to have enough of that knowledge sitting in your brain and be willing to access it on demand based on your live, real-time assessment of the athlete individually in a group of people. If you think that's an easy thing to do, you are either very well trained or you have no idea what you're doing. And let me explain. So let's hypothetical example. We're going to invent a class here, right? So we're going to do the snatch. We're going to do Amanda. Okay. So Amanda, 975 squat snatches and ring muscle ups, right? 135.95, I believe, is the loading for Amanda. And before that, we're going to build to a heavy double, right? So as part of the warm up for Amanda, we're going to build to a heavy double squat snatch. So you'll have 5 lifts. You're not going to do anything crazy. You have a little bit of time to do that. So you've got to, in teaching the snatch, 1, know the progression for the snatch, which we gloss over the fact that it's literally the most complicated weightlifting movement that we do, right? So there's that. You've got to know it. You've got to have a plan for it, how you're going to execute on it, and how that execution of that teaching is going to dovetail into your loading, which is your 5x2, right? And then how that is going to prep them for the actual workout. This is assuming you've already smashed the instruction on the ring muscle up. We're not even going to touch that portion. We're going to leave that over here, right? Where most people want to leave their gymnastics instruction. It's over here in the dark. So we get through that whole bit. You come to your snatch. You've got to know what you're doing. You've got to know the points of performance. You have to have a progression, 2 separate concepts. Then you've got to lay people out in the room in a manner that allows you to actually fucking see them. And then you've got to put yourself in the room in a place that allows you to put your eyeballs on the people while they're doing the things. And then your progression is not just going to be something like, all right, give me 5 snatch deadlifts. Ready, go. Cool. This time we're going to do a deadlift and a shrug. Give me 5 of those. Ready, go. Right? There's no teaching there. Cool. Everybody show me your bottom position, right? Snatch grip on the bar. I want the bar to sit in the mid shins. Nice big arch in the back, right? And like shoulders over hips, hips over knees, and set up. Hold that position. Fix, 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 fix. Cool. Deadlift to the knee. Pause. Fix, 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 fix. Ash, hips a little bit higher. Hips higher, higher, higher. Right there. Feel that? Good. Feels like your hamstrings are on fire. Good. That's what we want. Back down, mid shin. That's 1 rep. how much work has been done in that one rep. Repeat that for several reps for each portion of your progression, making people better. A tremendous amount of value has just been offered to people. Now, there's two things there. One is if I have a progression and if I move through that progression, i.e., holding people in static positions, calling dynamic reps, holding people in static positions, reset, right? And because I control the tempo of the reps, I can hold static position, check a bunch of different people. Ready, look at one person, lift. Cool. Keep the bar a little bit closer next time. Reset back down. Double check, make sure the athlete does what you need them to do, and lift. Better. And if it's not better, don't say good or better, right? Say, give them a different cue, or, well, we're not quite there yet. We'll keep working. And you can see how much effort is going into like 2 reps and 1 human being, right? And now extrapolate out. Being able to provide that much value to 15 people in a class, rep by rep by rep by rep. And so everyone is getting the thing that they need. That's value. And if what I just described to you sounds foreign, like you've never experienced that kind of thing, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, because, and I'm not saying that you would get this with me, but every single time I have been on the receiving end of transformational coaching that is fun and engaging and changes how I do a thing and makes me better, and I have a phenomenal fucking workout, it looks like that. It never looks like strength in a Metcon. It never has.
And I think, to touch on, transformational coaching and that value proposition, I guess, is taking it, being able to take it to that next level is like, Ash, why are you not getting your hips down when I'm telling you to get your hips down and you're resisting me? And instead of thinking, well, like my way is the right way, so there's something wrong with you. You have the problem here. Why are you not listening to me? Why are you not doing it? Why do you not want it? Ash is just difficult to coach. She doesn't do any of my cues. Instead of, right? I just thought I'd give Sam a break for a bit. But, Ash is difficult. She doesn't listen to me. I hate it when she's in my classes. She doesn't do anything I want her to do. But by having that conversation with you about going, okay, well, Ash isn't getting that. Let's see if she's not getting it or she's resistant to it. Ash, push the bar away from you 3 inches, butt drops down. Okay. Ash just is picking this up. So, hey, Ash, like what did you struggle with in our, when I was telling you to get your hips down, you seem to struggle with that concept. Like what was hard about that for you? Because we know you can get in the position when you push the barbell away. Like help me coach you better and help me understand like what was difficult for you in that. Well, I don't have good, body awareness. Like I don't know where my ass is in relation to my elbow most of the time. Like you sit me, I trip over my own feet walking down the gym floor. Like, okay, cool. So I know now when I coach Ash, I need to use, descriptive terms rather than just the standard terms. But it's also finding out, and if you do find an athlete that's like, well, they can do it, they can get in position, like, but why do they just nod and stare at me blankly when I'm talking to them? Like, why, you tell me that this is how far you can squat, but tell me why. Like, what's difficult about it? You get very defensive. Like, what's challenging for you about this? Rather than just going, Ash never listens to me. Like, that's the next level on that coaching conversation where we take it more away from, the movement to the behavior. And that in itself is, again, taking you and your ego out of the equation, because it's not like, well, I've got the answers here. I'm the coach. Why is she not doing what I want to do? It must be her problem. Well, no, there's a problem in how my message is being received. So I need to change the message or find out what the blockage is, because I'm the one in control of the situation.
And if you're wondering what this might look like in practice, if you ever as a coach say to yourself, oh, that's just the way they move. No,
Yeah.
Almost never. Every once in a while, someone has like a bony block in their ankle and they physically cannot dorsiflect past 90 degrees. I have 2 athletes in, oh my God, like 6 years who that is the case. You know, one guy had like serious motorcycle injuries and like, just his ligaments were really, really short. The other one, like, never seen anything like it before. Just 0 dorsiflexion, 90 degree angle. That's what he had. Every other person just needed to try harder. And that's not to invalidate the work that they're doing. For me as a coach, I let them get off. But I let them go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's interesting you say they needed to try harder, but on the flip side of that, as their coach, if we're coaching them and we're giving them value, we actually need to try harder to find out, well, actually, last time I tried squatting, I had the barbell on my shoulders and I couldn't get back up and no one was there to save me and I'm really scared about hurting myself. Bingo.
And then there's that, right? But we make assumptions when we talk about that. First of all, like, we assume that people are issuing cues and corrections in an attempt to get a person into a better position, which makes the assumption that they're actually fucking looking. Like, it is not a guarantee that when I say hips back and down, everybody squat, that I'm actually watching your hips initiate in that squat. It's not a guarantee, right? We make that assumption. And so if you never start to do that, the likelihood that you get far enough down that path that you're having those deeper individual conversations with those athletes is so much lower. Because if you haven't ever tried to coach someone into a better position and failed to do so, and tried a bunch of different ways to do that and failed to succeed, you wouldn't have butt up against your failure, essentially, to be effective and your need to find another way to do it. And it's like, okay, Scott, what do you feel when I ask you, Scott, like, where do you feel tension? Where do you feel this? Where do you feel that? Like, if I hadn't tried literally every cue I could think of, and then finally I have to pull the guy aside and be like, what's going on here? It's like, oh yeah, I was in a motorcycle accident. Like, this thing is just, it's all messed up. It's never going to be better. Oh, that's really good to know. Okay. But if you just call blind reps, you never get there.
That's right. So, if we continue on our theme today is like, what can we give our audience a little, takeaway goodie bag of, here are some things that you can tangibly action today to think about. And I know I'm putting you both on the spot. Is like, okay, I've listened to this episode, and I want to make sure that I'm not guilty of that. So what can I do that's going to help me check myself before I wreck myself about my coaching, and am I making it about me, not about them?
Ash, you want to lead off?
Well, my initial reaction is ask more questions. I think those first 2 I gave earlier are kind of the biggest ones. But then to piggyback off what Sam just said, if someone is not seeming to understand what you're saying, ask them a question. Why is this hard for you? Or do you feel like you're below parallel? Like maybe they think they're there and they're like, oh, you were talking to me? I'm not going low enough? Oh, all right. How's this? Oh, there isn't even a conversation that needs to be had. It was just like, I didn't know. Sometimes the body awareness isn't there.
Yeah.
But yeah, ask the question. Can you go lower? If the answer is no, where does it hurt, or what's stopping you? Yeah, I questions. All about questions.
Sam, what are you going to tuck into our?
You've got small goodie bag, Sam. Oh, wait a second. And
okay, see, there we go.
There we go.
None of you have heard of a book called By the Numbers. shout out to John Mears. He's on level 1 staff. He told me about that book years ago. My gosh, what a game changer that was for everything.
One of the very first CrossFit books that I downloaded.
Oh, great book.
Back in the day. Yeah.
Who wrote it?
I can tell you. While you put your kit in the goodie bag, I will find that for you.
Okay. If I have to make this a small goodie bag, and I'm going to be, and I'm not
just
going
a little
to,
taster. It's like degustation menu today.
I think, what will create the most awareness of a coach's weaknesses is when they stop following lesson plans and start writing their own. Because let's assume that you don't write your own lesson plans. If you begin to write your own lesson plans, then you have to understand certain things about the workout, and you have to start crafting an arc about how you're going to get people from 0 to 60. And see, it's just for you. And as you do that, especially if you've never done it before, you're going to crash and burn. And the next time you'll crash and burn a little bit less. And the next time you'll crash and burn a little bit less. And through that practice, you will get very good at assessing what is necessary. Because if you come at it with the perspective of, pardon me, I think this is what they need, maybe you're right and maybe you're lucky, but that won't be all the time. And so you will be able to tell, because what I want them to need will fall flat in a class. And what they actually need, based on objective assessment, never falls flat. And when I give people what they need, they come to me and they tell me, they're like, this is game changing. And I'm like, good, go forth, be awesome. If you don't write lesson plans, write lesson plans. Do it for a month. It'll change your life. If you already write lesson plans, ask someone to take your class, someone who's a coach, and give you honest feedback. And like that's like the next level beyond that.
Yeah, I mean,
perfect.
You could be coaching the snatch and have a 7 a.m. class that has 6 people in it, and then have a 5 p.m. class that has 19 people in it, like I had last week. And you need to that of what people need is going to be extremely different because the priorities change.
Absolutely. And through writing lesson plans, you will learn that you have to plan for the swing in volume. What's my equipment availability based on the number of bodies in the room and how much that affords me teaching, seeing, correcting. That dictates how much time I can take in a warm up. Like you learn all of these things by trying to figure them out when you write your lesson plan.
And I think, for me to add to the top of the bag before we do it up for people is that what I said at the start is I'm fixated on this gift idea today. I don't know why. Is that like when I'm preparing for a class, so you're doing your lesson plan, just be a little switched into your mindset. Like, am I writing this class and am I thinking about how good it makes me look while I'm doing my class plan, or I'm going to teach this progression because it's super complex and makes me look super smart, or, am I just coming at this from a place of here's my 9:15 mums class, like here's what we need to, they're not going to do, 50,000 nuances of the wall walk, for example. Like we're not going to be doing, understanding the micro, macro, and meso levels of programming. It's like, how am I going to give them what they need? Or am I putting in stuff that's just going to make me look good? And then that's your first step to actually triggers like, no, maybe this isn't about them. It's about me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
and then start that reflection. Sorry, Ash?
You said a 9:15 moms class. We used to have a class like that. And it was like, and the one movement that they all hated was snatch. So if we were lucky enough that they didn't wad dodge that day, I knew my goal was like, how do I let them have fun? How do I
Wad
make
dodge?
fun? Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, my that class for me was the boot camp class at one of my affiliates. My experience with that boot camp class got better the day I stopped trying to coach. And it doesn't mean that I didn't offer value, but those clients were in that class because they did not want to do CrossFit. And when I stopped trying to run it like a CrossFit class, they liked me a lot more and I had more fun. That was the class where I just got to run around and play bangers and like, you know, every once in a while it's like, you know, little cues here or there and just helping people and just positive. Dude, everybody loved that class. It was a shit ton of fun. Also, same thing with kids classes.
Yeah, I was just about to say the kids class was, you know, when I was coaching the kids classes, was my most stressful class to plan and program for, but it was the best fun of my week. You know, when you're just running around duck, duck, goose and all the, you know, and the kids are schooling you on things, like the greatest thing for your soul all week. Because with kids, you can't make it about you and be the smartest, you know, banana on the tree, because they're going to tear you down. You know, I had some kids once who I was like, you know, put your hands on your hips like you're Superman. And they're like, oh, can I be this? And can I be that? And can I, because no one does Superman anymore. I'm like, oh, well, now you make me feel really old. Or, you know, I did an L shape on the floor around the perimeter of the floor mat going, stay inside this box. That's not a box. Okay, good chats. So I'm not the smartest person in the room in that class. Like that was a gut check. But if you feel like that you are the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on that note,
mic drop.
All right. Mic drop. We're out. All right. Good chat, team. Hopefully we've given, well, I know we have given lots of good thoughts and some actionable things for people to reflect on and think on. And if you listen to this episode and you get something out of that and you try something and you come at something from a different angle in your coaching, let us know. Give us feedback. Slide into our DMs. Always happy to chat. You know, shoot us a message and let us know how that worked for you. More than happy to discuss that.
I'll bring that book.
All right.
It's in my car. I'll bring that book on our next episode.
It is
everybody.
Sean Mansour, M-A-N. Oops, wrong one. I did just have it. Sean Mansour, M-A-N-S-E-A-U. And yeah, great. It's been in my Kindle since a very long time. It's very good. And you will love it, Sam. You will geek out on that for sure. That's a Ash and I's gift to you today.
I love it when I get gifts.
Because it's not about us. Yeah. All right, team. Thank you for your honesty and your input, and we will catch up on the next one.
Absolutely. See us.
Bye.